We want to take you now live to Charlottesville, Virginia, where you see here protests have been taking place all day between white nationalists who are upset over the taking down of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. The protests have been going on since the early morning today, and you can see for the first time it feels like that today we've seen a much more heavy police presence. At one point it had calmed down. They had asked for the city had called for the evacuation of the square, which this protest was taking place. And at one point it appeared that people were evacuating peacefully. But the news that we are just getting in is that there has been an accident, a collision, where two cars collided and then it went directly into the protesters in that area. I want to turn now to our Paula Reed, justice reporter who's on the ground. Paula, what can you tell us about this collision, this accident?
Rena, we're right here. It's at one of the busy intersections in Charlottesville, Virginia, which, of course, you know, is a very bustling college town. And what we're being told from eyewitnesses is that a car appeared to deliberately mow down pedestrians. That car then caused two other cars to crash, where a pedestrian was also injured. I have personally seen at least 5 very injured people be piled into ambulances. Officials are saying at least 4 injured. We have no reports of dead at this time, but one man was seriously injured, and medics were trying to resuscitate them. But at this point, what we know is bystanders telling us that this appeared to be deliberate, and we have over a half a dozen people who were injured.
So, Paula, what was the sense of could you tell who the car was targeting? Did anyone see it?
I was not here, but I was 2 blocks away at the protest site, but in talking to eyewitnesses, they said that it appeared that the car wanted to injure or kill pedestrians and was intentionally trying to hit people. Now, the question is, were they trying to hit protesters, counter-protesters? Charlottesville is a very diverse, bustling college town. Watching the people be carted in, it does not appear that there was any specific target. It's a very diverse group of people who have been piled in, all ages, all races, all shapes and sizes. So at this point, it's a fluid situation, Rena, but what we know is that eyewitnesses say this car was intentionally trying to target, potentially kill pedestrians just 2 blocks from where the alt-right protest has been broken up a few hours ago.
And Paula, what's been the mood on the ground at this moment?
Very tense. Right now, we are in between ambulances. They're trying to clear the scene. A lot of people are very worked up. They're very upset. Either they came here today to protest the Robert E. Lee statue, or they came here to protest against the alt-right, or they're just mad that people are here in their town making all of this chaos. It's a very tense situation. Police are trying to keep everyone calm, but there's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of anger here, Rena.
So we know that the city declared a state of emergency and then they asked everyone to evacuate this square where they were all had convened. Did you get the sense that they were evacuating, and what's happening to the crowds right now?
So the part where the protest was originally, that has been completely cleared. And the leaders of the protests, many of the alt-right protests, have encouraged their followers to leave the city, not to put up a fight, not to get arrested, to just leave. Jason Kessler, one of the leaders, he has vowed to sue the city for violating their First Amendment rights. So, Rena, things seem to have been calming down, and then just 2 blocks from the site of the now empty park, we have what is potentially a deadly situation, with at least a half a dozen people injured and being carted away in ambulances to the hospital after apparently being targeted by a vehicle.
If you're joining us now, we're following the ongoing violence that took place very close to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, where white nationalists have been clashing with counter-protesters. Our Paula Reed is on the ground right now. Paula, what are the police saying?
The police aren't saying too much. Police have said that they have not seen any fatalities at this point here at the scene, where people are still being collected, put on stretchers and put in ambulances. But there's at least a half a dozen people we've seen who are very injured. And right now, they're not clearing this intersection. It's a very busy 4-corner intersection in the middle of Charlottesville. But they're trying to keep people calm. There's probably about 200 spectators here, press, protesters, friends of the injured. We've all gathered here, and I would describe it as a very tense situation, but police are trying to keep things orderly and keep it so that ambulances can still come in and out of this intersection.
So is the sense right now, Paula, that this could turn again? You were telling us earlier that they were evacuating the square and it appeared that things were okay, but you said we're just unsure if this could turn potentially. Do you get that sense that these protests are turning in a big way following this car accident?
Yes. I mean, it depends if we get more information about who this person was and why they were targeting. The first report that we got on the scene from our producer, who was here very early, was that this person was targeting counter-protesters. If that is the truth, yes, I do think that you could see tempers flare this evening because there's a lot of people on both sides of this issue gathered in Charlottesville today. And while it's been relatively peaceful, I mean, when you start trying to kill people with a vehicle, that can certainly escalate the situation very quickly.
Yeah, it certainly can. Paul, if you can stand by, I want to bring in Alexis Gracely. She's a senior news editor with the Cavalier Daily. She joins me now by the phone. What can you tell us about the situation on the ground, Alexis? What are you hearing?
So right now, I'm at the scene of where the car slammed into protesters. We just watched two people put into ambulances. One of the girls was awake. She was conscious. One of the men, we couldn't really tell if he was awake or not. He was lying down on a gurney. But mostly people are just hanging around. It's a lot of counter-protesters who are out here showing support for the people who were hit. And, yeah, it's definitely a tense situation, but people are starting to come together a little bit.
So, Alexis, did you witness the car crash?
I did not. We've actually been bouncing back and forth between different areas of Charlottesville, trying to follow things that are going on. So we actually just arrived here on the scene about 10 minutes ago.